Hello friends, welcome back to VBA tutorial 25. In this video, I'll talk about user-defined functions in VBA. So what is UDFs? So in VBA, you can create user-defined functions to perform custom calculation and return values within Excel or other Microsoft Office applications. UDFs can be used just like built-in Excel functions, and they are particularly useful for extending the functionality of Excel to suit your specific tasks or needs. So UDFs, once you create a UDF, so you can be used just like an Excel normal functions, just like sum, average, and other things. So let's get into practical stuff. So here I'll simply write one simple function which will add two numbers. So let's write that function add num. So you can write any name or here as well. I'll pass first argument num1 as integer and num2 as integer, and it will return integer type. And then I'll pass this function here and add these two number num1 and plus num2. It's a very simple way to define a user defined. So now I'll put, so even I can invoke this function from a sub procedure, and I can invoke this function from Excel itself from here, just a normal function like sum, raise, count, whatever it is, right? So first I'll take you through from this function, this sub procedure sub test. I'll put fun. This is user defined. I mean, you can put any name here, and then you will have to invoke that function, that is add num. You have to write that function name. Now you can see there are two arguments for this function. One is integer type, the other one is also integer type. So you can clearly see that. So I'll pass 2 comma 3. That means it will return 5. Then again, what I'll do, I'll print it in message box. This fun will invoke this function and then get the value back. So if I run it in debug mode, so it will invoke this function here. It has already invoked this function, and this function is taking is as a reference call by ref, right? Because by default it is call by ref. If you want to change it, so you can put by val, and you can see first number is 2, second number is 3 and 2. Now it will add these two number. Now you can see 5, right? And then you can see result back into. So now this function is adding these two number and sending it back to the called function, right? So that is, and then printing it again in this message box. Similarly, I can invoke this function from Excel itself, just like a normal function, normal Excel function. Add num. First argument is this, second argument is this. That means 15. If I press enter, so it will again go there, and you can see first number is 1, second number is 14, and add these two number. Then this function will be invoked here. So now it will add these two number. You can see 15, right? So if you look here, so this function can be invoked from sub procedure, within sub procedure, as well as from Excel. Suppose you want to add one more number here as integer, one more number num3 as integer. You have to add it, otherwise it will not give you correct answer, right? So now I'll have to put one more argument here. So if I invoke it here from here, so again 2, 3 and 7, because I put this. So if I click it here, 12, so it will add these number. Similarly, we can multiply this number, right? And similarly I can invoke this number. So now you will get this, I mean, if I invoke this number, this function from here, so it will give you an error, because I have already added another argument, so it will give you an error, right? So you have to include the third argument as well, right? So I'll put here 2, so it will add 2, then 17, right? So this way you can play around with the function UDF. So even you can create your own functions to add, subtract, multiply, take in the power of any number, right? Even like simple interest, you can put a function of simple interest just like that. So function simple int, first is principal amount, I'll put p as integer and rate r as integer again, and t as, these are optional, even you can put it, and I'll not put any sort of return value, it will by default take that. And what I'll do, I'll write this function and I'll multiply this number, p into r into t divided by 100, right? Divided by 100. So what I can do, I can put one bracket here and then 100. Although there will not be any impact on that, but I'm following that rule. And now if I invoke this function from here as well as here, from here as well, suppose I'm passing this number simp 500, which is my first number, rate of interest, rate of 5%, and then for 2 years, right? So this is 50 is answer. However, you can give reference just like that, and you can even invoke it from here as well. If I test it from here, 200% for 7 years, right? So if I execute it here, so it will return 42. So that's how you can build your own function, own user defined function, which will ultimately act as a built-in function. So if you want more video on this UDF, it's very important, and it works as a dynamic. You can play around with these number when in with the help of loop and everything. So if you want more video on that, so you can put on your comment. And that's it for today's video. If you want to learn more about Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, Microsoft VBA, Excel, so I've got on each one of the topic, I've got Microsoft Access playlist, I've got Microsoft Excel playlist, I've got VBA Excel playlist. Go ahead and watch those playlists.